The FAL is the most popular battle rifle ever fielded. Fabrique Nationale in Herstal, Belgium originally developed the gun, and the United States almost adopted it instead of the M14, following most of our NATO allies who did so. Now, it's long since out of production by FN, but the FAL is still being made to this day in the United States by DS Arms, and we've got a bunch of their guns to show you on Tactical Arms. Stand by. This is the FAL. It was developed as a battle rifle by FN in Herstal, Belgium. Originally, it was intended to be an assault rifle, selective fire and firing an intermediate cartridge. However, the United States mandated to NATO that they adopt a .30 caliber, and the weapon had to grow to accept 7.62 NATO as we know it today. Many of them around the world are select fire, but frankly, like most .30 caliber weapons, in this weight class, they're worthless on fully automatic. So it's really an advanced semi-automatic battle rifle that takes a 20-round detachable box magazine. The FAL uses a Tokarev style locking mechanism that locks up into the gun via a tilting bolt. It also uses a modification of the Tokarev gas system. The gas piston is essentially a long rod that has a return spring to push it back forward. One of the most unique features of the FAL, and one that has kind of faded into history, is a multi-position gas regulator. That means up here you can adjust the gas regulator to different types of ammunition to tailor the felt recoil and to make the gun work better in adverse conditions. Great system. It allows for a soft shooting 7.62 NATO battle rifle. The downside is the average soldier is not sophisticated enough or is dialed in enough to run this system. It's kind of went by the wayside because of that. This standard configuration FAL has a 21-inch barrel, weighs about 9.5 pounds. Good thing about it has excellent handling. The weapon balances well, it's very slim, and it's easy to handle in the field. Because of that, like other guns, such as the SVD, it actually feels lighter than it really is. Now I'm going to give you a couple pointers on running the FAL. You have to keep it lubricated. It is more maintenance intensive in terms of lubrication and cleaning than some other battle rifles or a weapon like the AK. So you cannot run this gun dry. If you do, it'll shut down on you. Now one of the best things about the FAL are the ergonomics. In particular, the bolt release and the magazine release. They're completely ambidextrous. For a left-hander, you come up, release the magazine here, insert a new one, and then just reach over with your thumb to pull down the bolt release. You can do exactly the same procedure as a right-hander because the location in the rear of the magazine well makes it excellent for use. Great in that respect. Now, to sum up the FAL, in my opinion, not necessarily the most accurate battle rifle in the world, not necessarily the most reliable, but what it does bring together, it brings together good reliability, good accuracy, and excellent ergonomics. And it's easy to see why this gun was so popular around the world. Roughly 90 countries adopted this as their main battle rifle. Okay, some of the design features you see here. The locking system on the weapon was taken from the Russian Tokarev. The gas system was also taken from them, but what FN did is made the piston and the pusher rod all one and the same with the return spring. Took one part out of the equation. Now, one of the key things about the FAL that's somewhat unique, it has a multi-position adjustable gas regulator. It has less felt recoil when properly tuned and less wear and tear on the gun. The hinge effect you see with the upper and lower came from the Sturmgewehr. Also, the trigger mechanism came from the M1 carbine. And last but not least, the magazine obviously came from the BAR. The FAL was never a cheap gun to produce, and that remains consistent to this day. Number one reason is the receiver, and the way the bolt locks up in it means it has to be made out of ordnance grade steel and very finely machined. There's no way to really have a barrel extension with a turning bolt, or you'd have an entirely different design. This reason alone means this is going to be an expensive gun, and also one of the reasons why there's only really one manufacturer, DSA, still making them. The FAL itself is relatively heavy, but there's been efforts over the years to lighten the weight. Some of the ways they did that is going to an aluminum alloy for the lower receiver, deleting the carrying handle and shortening the barrel like on this carbine 16.5-inch barrel length gun. The FAL has proven to be a very adaptable design, allowing different butt stocks, barrel lengths, rail systems, and other features. Let's go back out in the field to check some of these out. Tactical arms torture test of the FAL. Now it's time for the unscientific tactical arms torture test of the FAL. I clear the weapon out, tape the muzzle, make sure it's in condition 3. In this case, it'll be on safe with a loaded magazine in place and chamber empty. Then we'll bury it, see how it goes. Okay, here we are, DS Arms SA58 21-inch barrel standard configuration FAL. Not bad, I had to rack another round in there. The fact that the standard FAL does not have forward assist is kind of a ding on it. It's why the Israelis incorporated one into the design, where you push in on the charging handle and it can allow you to assist the bolt closed. Okay, next is the FAL mud test. The weapon is in the same condition it was in the sand test. Muzzle taped, condition 3, empty chamber, loaded magazine in place, lubed with ballistol. All right, you see what happened there. The FAL had a problem chambering the round. The lack of a forward assist come back to bite us again. A little flaw in the design. Okay, FAL water test. Just like I did with the M4, I taped the muzzle, I wiped down the moving parts and re-lubed them. Condition 3, loaded magazine in place. Okay, here we go again, even with the water test in the FAL. The inability to manually close the bolt with the forward assist comes back to haunt it. Now I'm seeing why the Israelis moved away from it and towards the AK. They had a conscript army, not a more highly trained army like in Europe, and therefore they didn't have the skill level at the individual soldier in order to keep the gun running. Okay, last test of the day. Drake Landing, Lillington, North Carolina, on the pistol pit berm. Now, like we did with the M4, we're going to simulate a drop test. I'm going to heave this blaster down there, then we'll go down, check the weapon out, put it into action, and hopefully engage the enemy. All right, looks like it survived okay. Halfway off safe and on the fire. Looks like it's okay. Let me see if I can chamber around. All right, here we go. It's easy to see why some countries went to weapons like the AK over the FAL. It's not unreasonable for a weapon to be picked up out of a dusty vehicle or out of the sand or the mud and expect to be able to chamber around from a condition 3. So the gun should have been able to pass those tests. We're here at Drake Landing in Lillington, North Carolina. I got my good friend Dave.